Hello, welcome back to the Authenticity Calling podcast. I am your host, Ralitza Spassova, and I am so happy to be joined today by, I now you're going to have to tell me again how to pronounce your name.
Ysaline Rozier. That's okay, don't worry.
Ysaline, thank you so much. It's so wonderful to be here with you. And please introduce, yourself. I love this podcast because it's really just a conversation between new people. So yeah, if you don't mind just telling the audience a little bit about how we connected, what you love in life, and what you do if you'd like to share.
Yeah, sure. And thanks for having me, first of all. So, what I do is that I've been a business coach for the past 5 years. I'm working mainly with corporate employees, so corporate professional women who actually wants to build a coaching business, but have a really, really limited schedule because we all know that as women who have been working in corporate, like time is a really resources that is really, really scarce. So my goal is really to teach them how to build a thriving coaching business, even if they just have like 5 hours during the day, during the week, sorry.
During the, yeah, no, you know what? That's very, very common. And I mean, I work in a corporate setting as well. And it's very, very common that people are just rushing onto the camera, rushing off the camera, rushing to get their kids, rushing to make dinner. Even, having calls sometimes during dinner time. Like we have very few boundaries. So yeah, our schedules are overbooked and it's almost this like it's normalized, unfortunately, in our generation.
And that's a bit the issue that basically it's like society told us that that's how we are supposed to live our life. But basically, like all the women that I'm speaking to are like, you know what? I'm always running everywhere. I'm really tired between like the kid, my family, my my 9 to 5 job. And all the time they're saying, I have this dream of building a coaching business. I have my certification for now how many years, but I didn't do anything with it.
Yeah.
But I don't have the time. I don't have the time to do it.
Mm.
And because they are so overwhelmed by all the things that they need to do, like their coaching business is always the last things that they need to on their priority
Their
list.
passion, their joy is very
Yeah,
common.
exactly. And that's something that that's what I do, what I do. It's because like I think a lot of women are staying stuck in corporate, because like they need to pay the bill, like they need to be able to send their kids to university, whatever they need to do with their money. And at the end of the day, they're like, I really want to do that, but they don't really know how to do it, which means
Hmm.
that they have the expertise, that have been working corporate for many years, they are super qualified in their field.
Hmm.
But because entrepreneurship is kind of like a new word and they don't have anyone around there that can tell them exactly what to do,
Hmm.
most of the time it is actually what is holding them back from like saying, okay, this is my priority. I'm going to see it. I'm going to do it. And I'm going to take the first step in order to make it happen.
I love that. And I love that you support this because there's so much more that we can do. And I think naturally as women, we work better in community. We work better when we're doing it together, when we're supported, when there's someone there to cheer us on. I think it's a very different mentality. And I talk a lot about the feminine and masculine energies, and people get all up in their feelings about using the terms masculine and feminine, but it is very helpful to have a community if we are, more in our feminine, and being more in our feminine also supports us with that creativity and with our intuition and sort of making those decisions when it comes to business. And I think it's really important to highlight because many people, just our society in general, is stuck in this hyper masculine, over scheduled, over logical, overthinking, always in our heads. And that's actually why there's a massive rise in diagnoses such as things like ADHD, for example. Especially for women, it's atypical. And the reason I talk about this is because I have this passion to bring more awareness. It hasn't become super clear to me what I'm supposed to do with it, but I think for me, getting that diagnosis helps me to realize, oh, there's something not quite right with the way things are going, and there's something I can do about it. And so For me, it wasn't taking medications. For me, it was really all of the lifestyle changes, the coaching, everything to empty my mind, everything to actually tune me into my intuition. And then be able to move from that place has just been so freeing. But getting into community, having that accountability, having that roadmap is so, so important, especially when you don't have a ton of time to experiment and you just want to launch the thing and do it in a way with the support of someone who's already been there, already supported others. I'll make your 1 hour worth 20 hours, basically, is the way that I see it. And yeah,
And you're right. Like one of the biggest things that is also holding them back is that they don't have a roadmap. They don't have a plan.
yeah,
And even as they say they are going to sit for 1 hour, they're like, okay, what am I going to focus on? And what I see in a lot of new coaches is that because there are so many information out there, like you can Google anything, you can have like thousand solution of how to do one simple thing, and it's really overwhelming them into knowing exactly what they need to start. And that's where it's super important for them to be clear on, like, okay, what do I want to achieve this year? What do I want to actually create, and how am I going to create it? And actually breaking it down, because breaking it down in in small and doable tasks, it's going to change everything.
yeah.
Because every time that you will work on your business, you will see that you are moving forward. But if you
Mhm.
are telling yourself, okay, my goal is like to get like, I don't know, 10 clients this year, if you don't get one, you feel that you are failing yourself because you don't actually focus on all the small steps that you did in order to actually get your first client, because there is many, many steps
Yeah,
ahead of time before to actually get the client and see that win.
absolutely. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that because it is so, so important. Yes, to break it down. I think something else that you said that is not common with women in corporate. We don't celebrate like any of our wins. We're so busy going
That's
on to
true.
the next thing that we don't hold space for ourselves to even say, wow, I did something great today. I had an interview with three business coaches and I really resonate with one. And I've actually like, I know who I'm going to work with. That's a big deal, right? And a step in the right direction. So even just thinking, even just doing research, like I always commend everyone for just even their awareness of what's going on is such a big step in the right direction. So thank you for highlighting that. And so like looking at all the steps, because it is very easy to get overwhelming. What do you typically start with your clients?
So one of the things that we start with is making time, because basically if you don't have the time, you are not going to work consistently on your business. And if you are not working consistently on your business, you cannot see the improvement. You cannot see the step that you are going to take. So time is the very first step. And one of the things that we do and that I teach them is really to create a power hour planning system
Mm,
where they are able to feel their commitment when it's come to work, when it's come to their family, but also when it's come to their business. Because the fact is, like, if they don't have a balance, if they don't find an harmony in between them, they will feel frustrated. So the goal is really to create something that is tailored to them, that is tailored to their day, so they know exactly when to do what and exactly what they are going to work on. Because it will actually remove the I would say all the guesswork of like,
mm,
okay, when am I going to do that? When I'm going to sit, what am I going to do? Oh, tomorrow, what is on my agenda? So
mm,
this way we're crafting something where they know ahead of time what is going to happen. Obviously, there will be always unexpected events. Like we all know that, like, and especially for moms, you never know when the school or the nursery is going to call you to say, "Oh, your kid is sick.
that's right.
Let's shuffle everything around." But that's part of the game. But the goal is really first to make the time, because once you have the time, then we can actually get into your business of like, okay, what type of coach do you want to be? What niche do you want to work on? What is the type of people you really love to work with?
Mm,
What is your unique expertise? And then we can craft something that is going to be their offer, their
mhm.
unique offer, and their unique positioning on the market.
I love that. So it's funny that you say making time, right? Like I remind people so often, we all have the same 24 hours. it's what you choose to do with it that's going to actually make the impact. And I think for corporate women, I mean, we've talked about this over and over and over again, but self-priority is very low on the list. Prioritizing our passions is very low on the list. And so I think what helped me the most is someone told me that it is very selfish to be selfless. And it hit me like a ton of bricks because I knew my coaching practice as my purpose. Part of my purpose in this life is to support people, is to really show and overflow and really help to embody the divine feminine on our planet because we are moving towards a much more resonant frequency with intuition, with the flow of life, with harmony, and a lot out of that sort of structured, very overscheduled. And so we won't be able to break free from the schedule if we don't actually create more spaciousness in our calendars first and foremost. And I try to think of my biz in the very beginning. That's what really helped me is it's an entity on its own. It's like a baby. If you don't create space and time for nurturing that baby, it's not it. So it's like this, it has a life force energy of its own. And it's not even asking for that much of your time and capacity, but it is asking for a routine. It is asking for regular love. It is asking for regular focus. And I think people use the word boundary a lot, and I don't love the term boundary because it creates this visual of like we're blocking things out and off, and we want to be removed from those things or those people, but really setting a very intentional, I think of it as honoring, right? Like you're honoring your business, you're honoring yourself, you're kindling that light, you're helping that flame to grow. And that is the life force energy that actually sustains us. If we're not doing what we love, what we're so deeply connected with, and what is our purpose, women who have a calling or people who have a calling to support others, that's that beautiful full circle moment. And you said it, harmony, right? It's filling our own cup and then overflowing into something that we love that can actually support others. I mean, Ikigai talks about it. It's one of the most wise ways of actually figuring out what is your purpose, what is your passion, what can you serve the humanity with, what can you actually earn an income from, where is the energetic exchange, and then actually prioritizing it, right? We give ourselves away to so many things that don't pour back into us. And I think it's recreating that, like that mentality of how we're meant to be in community is so, so important.
I think one thing that you said and the words that you're looking is like building a coaching business is a commitment. It's a commitment to yourself. It's a commitment also to the people who are out there waiting for you to help them, because there are a lot of people out there who are waiting for you to start your coaching business, to do what you know how to do the most. But you need to have this commitment to say, okay, when it's time to work on my business, I'm making the time to work on my business no matter what. And the fact is, like, a lot of people don't have this habit of committing to do it. And the fact, like, we all know that, like, and when you want to create a new habit, it takes between 60 to 90 days. So you need to actually be consistent at making the time. So you start to feel easy, because at the beginning, nothing is easy. But at the end, what the outcome that you will create is exactly what you are looking for. So I would say that's a really small price to pay in order to actually get your dream coaching business.
I love that. And I love that so much because it's so, so important. I have the 7-day self-love challenge. And one of the most important things is literally like clear the clutter, clear your, messages from those people, your contacts from those people that weigh you down, clear your closet from your old clothes, like create space for new energy. And that includes your schedule. That includes literally stop doing the things that drain you. Stop doing, giving your time and energy to things and places that can actually be outsourced. Hire someone, ask for support. There are so many people in our community even that I'm sure would be willing to support us in order to make that spaciousness. Like for me, I know when my son was young, I wanted to be at every single practice, every single game, like I really wanted to be present for it all. And sometimes those perfect moments are when he's practicing, for example, once a week. I'll actually have an hour and a half to focus and be intentional about my business. I think a lot of it is multitasking as well. And another piece of it I think is really important to mention is that if we really don't if we don't prioritize it, it's not going to survive. And at the same time, I think that guilt of it being perfect, people call it imposter syndrome, or there's so many terms to name it, but I think it's showing up imperfect, like knowing that it won't be perfect, knowing that it's not going to look great the first time, knowing that any step we take in any direction is going to be a learning. I think that was really important for me to overcome.
And also one of the things like when you open, Instagram or LinkedIn and you see all this super curated feed where everything is beautiful, you think that you have to be the same. But one thing that is really going to differentiate you as a coach, that is going to make you unique, is actually messing it up. Like go do it. Record this reel where it's not going to perfect, when you're going to stumble on your work, or actually do this caption where there will be a typo. Like, we don't care. The goal really here is to just show people who you are. Because one thing that you need to remember is that people are not going to buy your offer, they are going to buy you. And once they buy you, then they will buy your offer. So, which means that if you are not showing up, if you are not speaking about what you do, whether in real life, whether on social media, if you are not posting, interacting with people, making yourself known, your coaching business is not going to go anywhere. And all of that process is all about taking messy action, one messy action at a time.
Yes.
That will feel super uncomfortable. Like, and especially, like English is not my main language. I'm teaching in English. And at the beginning, I was like taking 20 or 30 take of myself.
Yes.
And I was still not happy about it. But when I think about this lady, I will say like, you don't care. Just take the first one, post it, and see whatever happened. And on the next one, you will do better.
That's right. That's right. And that freedom and permission and flow, like that right there is the flow. Because when you have an idea, and I don't know if you look into human design at all, I use all these different methods of getting to know ourselves because my coaching is for authenticity. And for me, I know that the energy of the universe, the energy of humanity, we resonate at a frequency of truth. And when you are your true self, everything gets magnetized. And so on the human design, I do human design. I do a little bit of gene keys, a little bit of Enneagram, a little bit of Dharma quizzes. And so I have a little bit of that weaved in. But I think for me, the most important part is actually be as a generator. I know that when I'm inspired, I need to pour into it right away, whether it's Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn or what. And it comes with a message for a specific audience. And I just listen. But it really took tuning into my intuition. It took actually slowing down. It took actually developing that relationship and also knowing myself really well. Now that I know that I'm a generator, it's like, if I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning with an idea, I don't write it in my notebook and table it for later. I literally go on my phone, I post it right away, and I go back to sleep. And it is so much more peaceful for me. It is so much more easeful in my business that when it's there, just take the action. And I love that messy action. It is such a beautiful permission slip. And that's what for me works really well. And permission slips, we need to give ourselves permission slips all day and all night because we have so many rules that we live by that are just not sustainable. They're not fun. They're not energizing. And they're not helping anyone, if we're being honest. Guilting ourselves, it doesn't help anyone.
No, it doesn't help. And also one thing is that, I'm a recovered hustler and perfectionist. Like I think a lot of la ladies were actually listening to us. And it took me a lot of time to actually understand that in order to actually see result in your business, you don't have to work a lot of hours. You
Mhm.
don't have to do all the things. It's because we're so used to when we're working in corporate of working, 8 to 10 hours a day, of always running everywhere, like meeting from meeting, calls to calls, that it's kind of like it's our own definition of productivity. But the truth is like when it's come to your business, it's not about the number of hours. It's
Mhm.
about what you are going to do within those hours. And one of the things that I teach all my clients is really actually figure out what is going to make you money. What do you need to work on during those 5 hours that you have during the week that are really going to help you expand your business, be clear on what you need to offer, how to create connection,
Mhm.
because that's what is going to help you get big client. It's not about, creating thousand reels or do that. No, we
Mhm.
want you to actually be hyper specific on what you are going to focus on, because that's how you are going to create results. So it's about reframing your entire vision when it comes to
Mhm.
productivity, when it comes to what is productivity that corporate wants us to think about, and what is the productivity that you want to have in your own business.
I love that. And that actually, what comes up for me right now as you're saying that is our business again has a life of its own. It actually has an energetic momentum
Mm.
of its own, right? Like I said, we said before, it doesn't really require a ton of your time or energy. And it's that consistent commitment. And I love what you said about, what is actually going to bring back that income, right? Because a lot of times I think people are really focused on their income, right? And starting a business for an alternative income. I really like to bring people back to, what is actually the service? Because what brought you into this business or into this passion project in the first place was your
It,
service. And it becomes about money, then it's not full of joy anymore. Then it's just the energetic exchange. Um, so I like that you highlighted that it's important to actually focus on where's your bang for your buck? Yes. And where are you? Because usually that means you're converting. Converting means that people actually connect with you, which means that you are actually being authentic and they are actually seeing the truth of the possibilities. All of the excuses, all of the shadow work, all that stuff is not showing up anymore and is really you just shining. And something that we talk about in coaching, I do a lot of that sort of like spiritual moments of realization. Like, what does productivity mean? It's a great redefine that we need to do. We get to do, right? It's like need to get to, but to yes and, right? That's the reframe I think for me is being in service actually fills both people's cup. And also the realization that who you attract, you're going to attract people at the level of cleanliness or clarity or that come from that because life is a mirror. If you feel limited in all these different ways, those are the clients you're going to attract. And then you're going to have to help them overcome those things, but you have to first overcome them within you, right? You have to be a few steps ahead. So I think that's just a funny piece to bring in. And I don't know how much you focus on that in your coaching, but I do like to bring that awareness to people. And then they realize, oh, wait a second. So if I do the deep dive stuff for myself, that transformation, then I'll bring in a different type of client. It's like, yes, you don't have to look at them to change. It's all us.
yeah, and that's one of the things that I also tell my client is that, like everything that is happening in your life is going to happen in your business in a way or another,
Yeah.
because you are going to mirror all the block, all the things that are in a way. You are going to mirror it in any way with your client.
Yeah.
And therefore, that's why working on your mindset is super important. Like we say it all the time, like your business is 80% about your mindset, 20% about taking action. But that's really true, because when your mindset is really calibrated on your success, when you are clear on what you need to do, when you are clear on the clients that you want to attract, everything falls into place. But if you
Mhm.
are scared of showing up, if you are scared of not having the time, if you think that you are not good enough for your client, if you are scared of getting them results, all of this, you are going to materialize it in a way or another. So
Yes.
that's super important. And that's something that we all the time touch base in my program is that we need to work on your mindset. Because
Mhm.
if your mindset is not calibrated to build a thriving coaching business on a limited schedule, it won't happen. It's plain and
Mhm.
simple. You will have a lot of things happening in your life. You won't succeed to find the time. You will always have excuses. When you will work on something, you won't get the outcome. And every time you will challenge yourself, say, "Am I really cut for entrepreneurship?" But no, that's not the mindset that we want. We
Mhm.
want you to say, this is what I want to do. This is how I'm going to do it. And no matter what is going to happen, whether it's going to work or not work, I will figure it out. Because
Mhm.
we all have this inner capacity of figuring out exactly what is working, what is not working, and keep moving forward.
That's right.
Like And one of the things that I really want to emphasize, because that's kind of how the coaching industry is working. You see people who are telling, "Oh, I learned how to make like X thousand of money in 90 days." But the truth is, like, what you don't see, what those people don't tell you, is that it took them time to be able to do that.
That's right.
It took them time to build the foundation of their coaching business, because you cannot scale a coaching business if you didn't build the foundation before that. You need to be clear on like who you are, what is it that you do, who do you help, what is your offer, what is your sales strategy in order to get client. If you don't have that ready, like you won't get paid client, and that all the work that you need to do ahead of time.
Mhm.
It's not going to happen like in 10 days. And
Yeah.
if someone is telling you, okay, I can make you rich in 10 days, don't fall for it.
Yeah.
That's crap.
If it sounds too good to be true, I mean, let's be real. And I want to bring back to the joy and the fun and how exciting it is actually
Mm.
when we give ourselves permission to actually enjoy every one of those little steps that you're talking about. It doesn't become a checkbox, right? Because I think when we put our business into this like over structure and we start to think of it as checking boxes, there's no life force energy in that. It's actually, again, it's like it's work again. It's like your corporate job. It becomes this sort of monotonous thing you do because you have to, right? It's not your passion project anymore. So I just want to bring us back to actually how fun it can be. It's so exciting. For me, it was so fun to build my website on my own. Like I love creative projects. I love like pouring my ideas into something tangible. And that's that perfect harmony of my masculine and feminine working together, of that doing and being energy to get that creativity, and it's productive for my business. But if I think about, oh, now I have to make a website, it's like then you go into doomsday, then you go into the fear and all the, the weight and all the limitations. But when it gets to be fun, it's like, no, this is the goal for the next month. What part of those five are you inspired by? Do that. Do it out of order. Do it with like full permission, but do it with your passion. Like actually do it in a way, because the come from matters. That energy that you're talking about, where you come from when you're doing something. I don't think this is very common. We're not talking about energy as much yet. I think we're starting to get into it. And, we're talking about meditation and yoga and mindset and all these different things. I work with somatics and emotions and unconscious programming as well. And I think for me, what I've recognized is, and this is part of quantum physics, it's part of the way that life works, is the come from the energy with which you create something, its foundation, its creation, that matters. And if you're doing it at the end of the day when you're exhausted, that's what you're putting into it. That's what people are going to feel. They're going to feel exhausted when they receive that. And that's not really what we want to put into our business, our passion project, our baby.
And I agree with you. And in the same time, the fact is like being an entrepreneur is way much more than actually being a corporate employee. When you're a corporate employee, you sit at your desk, your calendar gets filled with all the meeting, people tell you exactly what to do. You have a specific scope of things that you need to focus on. But when it comes to building your business, you need to be everyone. You need to be like, you are a coach, you are a social media manager, you are a content creator, you are also a program creator, you own HR, like you are all the people in the company, it's you. And some of the thing will actually you will have fun doing them, and some of the thing you will hate it. The truth is, like at the beginning of your journey, for some people who don't have the money, you will need to force yourself to do the things that you don't love to do. So you won't have the right kind of energy, but you have no choice than to do it. But if you are at the beginning of the journey and you have the money power to outsource or delegate the things that you don't love to do and stay within your zone of genius, I would say go for it, because the fact is like the more time you spend on what you are good at, the more your business is going to grow. But there is one biggest mistake that I see a lot of coaches do, is that when they hire someone, when they delegate something, they're yet not clear on what they want. So for instance, when they hire a social media manager or someone to do a landing page or website, they don't have the full clarity on what they want it to be. First, get clear on the vision, get clear on what you want it to look like, and then hire someone and tell them exactly what you want to communicate. Because if you let someone actually work on your own vision, that's where like the disconnect happen, and that's when usually like people are going to create something that is not going to resonate with who you are or with your ideal client. So you still need to be the CEO of your business. You are the one setting the tone. You are the one setting the direction. And when you are clear on that, then you can hire someone when you don't love to do the thing. And trust me, I don't love to do everything in my business. And sometimes I keep doing some of the stuff because I still didn't find the right fit to work with me in my business. And that's okay. It's a process, one step at a time.
I love that. I love that, starting with the vision and sharing the vision. And that's something I also share with people who are in actually in corporate. They don't have their own business, but they're corporate leaders. I think we forget so often how important it is to share the vision. And that can take us so much further as an organization, as a team. As you said, when you're building your own business, you create your own team. It is actually your team to guide. You are still the captain of the boat. And I think a lot of times people hire um, experienced marketers, for example. They'll hire experienced something, but they're experienced in a specific way that they work. And as you said, if it's not on your value system, on your core values, if you're not on the same page with those certain things, there's going to be a disconnect completely. And that's so, so important. So I'm really glad you mentioned that as well. Something that comes up for me, and I want to wrap it back up and kind of talk a little bit about you and your journey and how you got to this, because I think that's really inspiring. Like, I love hearing about people's journeys, and I think it's really helpful to see it wasn't always easy, actually. We had to stumble, we had to fall. But one thing I wanted to mention when it comes to corporate, and now it just left my mind. So, anyways, we'll let it go. How did you go from? Did you have a corporate career and you started a business, or how did that whole flow happen?
So yeah, I was in corporate for 5 years. I was working in the insurance industry, but you know, I was really good at my job. I was a project manager for a big partnership. I was kind of like, the stereotype of the French girl on high heels, like super well dressed, running everywhere with her phone, with her computer, and everything. And I like it. I learned a lot, but the fact is, like, I was all the time tired. I was working a lot every day. I didn't really have like a personal life. When it was the weekend, I just wanted to sleep because I needed to catch up because I was spending so much energy for my company that I actually was completely drained. And I like when I was young, my father got laid off because it was like too old, too expensive. And I told myself, you know what, like you can dedicate your entire career to a corporate, and from another, you can just get like boom, they can say, okay, you're fired. And then you need to rethink your entire plan. And I was like, this is not a situation that I want to live at some point in my career. I really want to help people and to help them create an impact. I wanted to create an impact on people's life. And what I was doing in my corporate job is that I was helping company make even more money, but I was not really helping people at all. And when this connection started to grow, and I started to think about, okay, I don't think the corporate world is really for me. Like, what am I going to do? And it took me actually 2 years, 2 years in corporate to figure out exactly what I wanted to do because I was completely lost. And one thing that you said is that in order to build a coaching business, you need to know yourself. And at that time, I was not in a place where I knew exactly what I wanted to do in my daily job. And once I found like coaching kind of like by mistake. I think like a lot of people who actually find their first coach, I was like, this is exactly what I'm meant to do, because there is the social aspect where you are helping people, creating an impact. And on the other side, there is the aspect where I can actually create something. I can actually thrive and do whatever I want and get paid for it and create the life that I want. And that's how I started to coach. I started to coach really as a time management and productivity coaching because obviously I was a project manager dealing with fires on a daily basis. So that was really my area of expertise. And as I move forward with working with different type of client, I used to work with entrepreneur, corporate employees, student, retirees. I think I did kind of a lot of people at my beginning. And then by working with them, I really understand that I wanted to narrow down to corporate employees who want to become entrepreneur. And the more my client asks me questions about, but how do you run your business? How do you do? How do you get lead? It's kind of like begin to become like this blend of my coaching programs that I have today, which is like about business, strategy, lead generation, mindset, time management, productivity. So I can kind of like blend everything together. And that's how I created the program that I have today. And yeah, I did it one step at a time. I won't lie. Quitting corporate is not easy because you will have the thinking about, oh, how am I going to pay the bill? Am I really going to succeed? I didn't have any entrepreneur in my family as well. So, like the entrepreneurship word was pretty new to me, the online word even more, because even if I'm a millennial, like social media were not really my thing at all.
Yeah.
Now I spend most of my time for my business on social media. So there is never a right time to start. There is just that like take one step and one step will lead to another. And that's how you will move throughout your coaching journey.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And it's so, so important that one step at a time. And it really does. It has a life of its own. It really creates itself. It'll tell you what it needs from you. Or, as it evolves, you pour into it what makes sense. And what made sense for you at the time in the beginning was productivity. That's what you knew. So that's what you started with. And that's amazing because it's one of the core principles in your business now, supporting people, right? So it will build itself and it's not this big scary thing. I want to bring it back to investing into yourself and into your business. I think that's one of the things that's what came up earlier that kind of left is what I heard is, and for me myself, I think for any entrepreneur, investing into our business is this big scary thing. And it's like, I don't want to hire someone because that's going to cost me. But if you really think about it, like feeding your child, you're not going to not feed your child. You're not going to not feed your business in the same way. And investing in your business, whether it's a personal coach to get your own transformation first, to come in integrity and to really be who you say you are instead of faking it till you make it, for example, that is an investment in your business, right? That like 1, 2, 5, 10, 20 people pay hundreds of thousands of dollars. CEOs with big companies that have the money now, they got there somehow, but they pay this to actually maintain and sustain and pour back into their business. A business coach, you can spend 30 years trying to figure it out on your own, but let's get honest, you're going to spend so much more money trying to do it on your own and making the mistakes by yourself than you will investing in a business coach, in a personal coach. So,
And I'm a
and it's a
living proof.
write-off.
I'm a living proof of that because that's exactly what I did on my first year in business. And where I think my mindset, I had the mindset of an employee, not the mindset of a coach, is that I was like, I'm damn good in what I do. Like I have expertise. There is no reason I'm going to fail this because I know how to work. I know how to succeed. There is no reason it's gonna fail. And because I had this mindset, I was like, I can figure it out. Yes, I figure it out. But one thing that I didn't realize at the time is that it took me an entire year to figure something out. And when I started to hire a coach, like basically in 2 weeks, I move faster than the entire year that I spent doing it on my own. And the reason is that I was binging a lot of free content and they were telling you to do this, to do that, but I didn't really have a goal. I didn't really have a strategy. I didn't really understood the connection between all like, funnel, email list, ideal client, content marketing. Like I didn't have all that understanding. And one thing that I realized at the end of that year is that it cost me way much more money to invest into training, into software, in all those things, just to after change everything when I started to work with a business coach,
That's right.
than actually to invest in a business coach.
Mhm.
And When people, and I know because that's kind of like the mindset that we'll all have. When we invest money, we want our money back.
Yeah.
But sometimes you won't get your money back, but you will get all the knowledge to get your money back.
That's right.
And that's something that people actually underestimate is that in order to build a coaching business, you need to have a full understanding of like what does that mean to build the foundation of your coaching business? How does that mean to have systems that run in autopilot so you can keep your 9 to 5? And
Mm,
by investing in someone who know how to do that, you are going to gather a lot of knowledge in a
mhm,
really short amount of time that is going to help you build the foundation of your coaching business. So yeah, you might not get to your financial goal on the first year, but you will have everything that you need in order to get there.
which builds the confidence, which builds that authentic energy of like, I'm here and I know what I'm doing and I'm able to actually move into the next step. So I love that. Going back to energetics, you actually, I think of, when we hire someone, we don't just hire someone to do the thing on paper that they said they're going to do, but they're literally sharing that energetic life force energy. It's almost like you have access to everything that they've done in their life and then some, because then when you co-create, when you come together, then there's even more that builds between you, that energy of, you know built passionate pursuits or combined passionate pursuits. So it's a really super helpful. You're actually getting on their train of momentum with your business, right? It's not just, oh, money exchange for, it's not a transactional thing when you hire a coach. To me, the way that I have to see it is it's so you get so much more than you pay for. You can't even measure it.
And the truth is like it's not about the knowledge. It's also about the support. It's also about the mindset that you are going to acquire. What I see like in my community, because I went to one coaching but also group. But what I can see in the group is that every time that I'm sharing something, I'm creating a momentum. Every time
Mm-hmm.
that I'm doing something in my business and I'm giving them challenge, is actually uplifting them to
That's
take
right.
action. It's about really having someone in your corner or a community in your corner that where you can actually share everything that is happening because sometimes as women and especially when we're building a business we have no one to talk to and we
Yeah.
don't want to share it with our husband because it feels vulnerable or sometimes they don't understand exactly what we do, so we prefer to actually share it with a group of women who try to achieve the same thing as we're trying to achieve, understand what is it, or even with your coach who actually have been where you are today. Like every time, not every coach will be the ideal coach for you because it's all about personality, accountability, energy, like you said. Like there is a lot of things involved. But when you find the right coach, you have no issue actually sharing with them and saying, you know what, this is how I feel, this is where I am, like this is my mindset issue. And they will know exactly how to put you back on the right track in order to take action. So it's not about the money, it's not only about the knowledge, it's about the support, it's about also your own growth.
Mm.
Because as a business owner, you will need to grow. You will need to grow into becoming an entrepreneur. You will need to grow in becoming the coach that you want to become.
Yes, yes, I love that. And the jack of all trades, like you said in the beginning, you're not going to hire everyone out because you haven't built that stable foundation in yourself. How are you going to teach someone else to do something that you do without doing it yourself? So that's another thing is to be very like sort of, I bring in realism, but I bring in realism with the lens of the inspiration and how much further you can actually get when you are
Mm.
authentic, when you actually are open to that investment, when you're able to really give yourself the support that you need, that your business needs. It's so funny. It's so egotistical to think, oh, this thing that has a life force energy of its own, I'm going to sustain it all by myself. Like, wait a second. Any child needs at least 5 adults around them who they can turn to. Any business has so many people feeding into it. Like, you don't have to sustain that life force by yourself. And I think that's one big permission for me. And that is the growth edge. Like, when you get to a point where you really know very well how to do something and you find someone you know, first of all, envision that you do have that person that knows exactly, that's on the same energy, and you attract that person that's the perfect support. When you hand that over, it's like, oh, it's like a breath of fresh air because they're doing it with so much passion, with so much love. And that's exactly what's going to build the business even more. And I think that's so, so important. Um, so I wanted to speak on that. And I think the last thing I want to ask is, do you support, because I think there's a lot of resistance around social media and it's becoming more and more, you said this weekend something happened and the meta changed. And I'm like, I'm not even caught up on that. But when it comes to when it comes to online, I think a lot of people have resistance and they think because we're in 2025, because everything is online. We're still people that live in the physical world. There's still yoga, there's still gyms, there's still places to find people, there's still coffee shops, people are still going out. We're not living in these little pods where we're just microchips, we are still human. And I like to remind people that, okay, if you don't like social media, your business doesn't have to be on social media. Your business can literally be, you can go door to door, or not literally door to door, but you go meet people, go in community and just share what you love and you will meet your clients. Like if that is your energy pattern, if it's not on social media, you don't have to be so reliant because everyone else is doing it that way. So, do you support people to build a business not on social media? I know it's easier to scale on social media, but I'm just curious because I think a lot of people who want to be entrepreneurs, they don't want to do it there right away.
So basically, I teach both ways. The reason why I teach both ways is because it's faster
Yeah.
to actually get client when you are face to face than it is on social media. Because when you are face to face, you are going to speak to your network, you are going to go to networking event. And the big difference is that first, some people will know your expertise, they will know you, they will already trust you. Or even if you go at a networking event and people are in front of you, like they can see you. They can see how you speak, they can see your confidence. And that changed everything because it create trust way much more faster than it is on social media. When it comes to social media and before to have someone reach out to you, you need to show them that you are an expert. You need to actually earn their trust. You need to actually show your personality, who you are. And this is taking way much more time to be on social media and to get clients for social media than it is and to do it face to face. So that's why I'm teaching both approach.
Beautiful.
Because I do think that if you are really in a hurry of getting paid client, the face-to-face part is way much easier to do. And then we build a strategy for you to be on social media. And the reason why a lot of people want to be on social media is because a lot of coaches want to have this time freedom, this flexibility of at some point quitting their job, being able to travel or having the time to take care of their kid. And that's why social media is so important for them, is because it's going to give them their freedom of not being, like in just one location.
Mm.
But I do think that you need to have both anyway if you really want to have a thriving business.
I love that. And you know what? I tend to sense the collective energy and I just felt a sigh of relief because I think a lot of people believe that the only way and the primary way and the first place to go is social media. And so there's this big general, and I think after 2020 we all realized how much we're interdependent beings and how much being in person is actually so valuable for everybody. And so I think yes, it might be scary to go to networking events if you've never been to one, but it's scary if you have an agenda. It's scary if you're going to sell yourself. And that's what people mistake. Again, they identify their business as themselves. Yes, people will fall in love with you and they'll trust you, but they'll only do that if you are authentic and exactly who you are. And you're literally going to meet people, not to sell your business or yourself, right? Like networking events, people want to get to know each other. But if you're the only person in the room that's not introducing yourself with a business card and what you do versus who you are, then that's how you'll stand out. And literally, if you enjoy meeting people, if you enjoy being in communities, that is your unique offer, is you are exactly who you are. Oh, and by the way, what do you do? Well, this is what I do. Oh, that's amazing, right? People actually just naturally want to know more because you're not coming for that transaction. You're not getting to know people in order to sell your business. Like we take the focus away from selling and naturally serving and naturally just connecting and naturally just being exactly who you are. And I think that's the shift into that more feminine, the shift into that grace, the shift into that sort of, oh right, it's not all about the at the end of the day, it's not all about that financial goal. It is so much bigger than that. It is so much more than that. And people need and crave connection. And when you take that online, it's like it becomes undeniable, this radiant energy that you have, because we all have this radiance in us. We just need to tap in and feed it a little bit more. So I love that. I felt this really, this like, oh, thank God I don't have to, like it's not the only way and it's not the primary necessarily way to build your confidence is to be online. So thank you for sharing that. And I'm so grateful that I had a little bit of resistance because I'm like, oh, but what if you only support online? Or what if you don't support people in person? So I'm really grateful that, yeah, that you really, that, it can be yes, yes, and both.
And the fact is, like, when you are building a coaching business, you are building the coaching business that you want. You are not in corporate anymore. So
Exactly.
the goal is to build something that is actually fitting your vision. If
Mm.
you don't want to be on social media, don't be on social media. If you don't
Mm.
want to do face-to-face, don't do face-to-face. But be clear on exactly what you want and build the coaching business that you want. And that's the beauty in any business that you are going to create is that you are the CEO. You get to do whatever you want. So just own it and do it.
Yes, I love that. Let's finish off with that. Do exactly what own it and do it. Decide, own it, and do it. I love it. Thank you. Thank you so, so much for all of your wisdom, for all of your knowledge, for sharing your life's journey to get to this point. Just for everyone's awareness, we connected on LinkedIn. It was literally 2, 3 messages. Hey, how are you? What do you do? I'd love to get to know you. And this was how our bond started. And anything you do, I am in full support. I would love for you to join my Facebook group. I have a group of women, and then I have Authenticity Calling, which is for everyone. The group of women is a Sexy Successful Sisterhood. Please share what you do there because that inspiration, that energy, that momentum, it's just so, so, so beautiful. And I would love to get to know your community too. And just to share this into that community because I think when we're passionate about what we do and we love what we do, it's natural and everyone gets to get that energy, right? As long as we realize like we don't have to compare ourselves.
Mhm.
Comparison is actually truly when we compare ourselves, it's actually our essence trying to show us what's possible. So if you see it that way and you allow it to be an inspiration instead of, that sort of thing that holds you back, then you shift into that and it just overflows. And I'm just so, so, so grateful to meet you, to get to know you, to celebrate you. Thank you. If you have one thing to leave our audience with, what would that be?
I think it's just start. I
Yes.
mean that's the very big that the if you want to start your building your coaching business, just start. Don't overthink it. Don't like just take one small steps. Just do it, and you will see that when you take the first step, you will figure it out the second one, and then the third one, and then everything that is coming after. And if you really feel overwhelmed, if you really feel that, you don't know what you are doing, you don't have to figure out on your own hire someone to help you.
Yeah.
Like there is no shame. And actually, that's one of your greatest strengths because you will start acting as a CEO of your business, like saying, okay, this is not my zone of genius. I'm hiring someone to help me. And so I can stay in what I know how to do best.
I love that. Absolutely. Ah, that's so juicy. So much permission in this podcast. I find so beautiful. Well, thank you so, so much. How can people reach you and get in touch with you if they'd like to work with you or if they'd like to ask you any questions?
I mean, like, I'm on LinkedIn. You have my name, my surname. I have exactly the same handle on Instagram. So, whatever platform feels suits you best and you spend time on, just make sure to say hi and to say that you listen to this podcast. And if you have any question, you can just DM me. I'm in my DM every day. So, I will be more than happy to answer you.
Amazing. Thank you. It's not a bot. We haven't
No, it's not.
botted
No,
our
no.
inboxes.
And actually, you know what? The funny part is I think someone said that to me. Not that like in December, say, are you a bot?
Yeah. It
And I
could
was
have
like,
even been me. It could have been me because I say that a lot and people are kind of like, if it's a human, you get a really human response. And if it's a bot, then you get this weird response. So you can, yeah, you can test that. But yeah, it's true. It's a
Maybe
lot of
I should look back to our conversation, but
agree.
that's me. That's me. I'm not the bot. I'm the one answering you. So don't worry about it. And the fact is, like, for me, and one thing that you always need to remind yourself is like, business is connection. People needs to connect with you. So having a bot is not useful at all.
Love it. I love it. Thank you so, so much. Thank you for all of your wisdom, all of your knowledge. Thank you for pouring into people because and supporting them and believing in them because that's really what we need when we're starting off. And I mean, you have the strategy, you have the roadmap, you have the energy, you have it all. So thank you for your passion. Thank you for your love and for doing what you love and for really leading with that authenticity calling. That was your journey. And I love that you poured into this container here with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Have a beautiful day. Take care.
You too.